Drake apparently have a settlement with iHeartRadio. Not sure exactly what it is and why they're making a settlement. Is Drake getting paid? Payola? I don't know. Something's going on. But I got a video coming in from the Ville. We're gonna react to that today. This is PeePodCove. Welcome back. Want to help support the channel? What we're doing over here? Hit the Cash App, hit the like button. I appreciate it. Let's get right to it. We ain't gonna waste no time today.
Okay, so if you don't know, Drake had just made a settlement with iHeartRadio. It was recently reported that Drake had did a settlement or had reached a amicable resolution of the dispute to the satisfaction of both sides between Drake and iHeartRadio. Now, what does this all mean? It looks like Drake decided to settle with iHeartRadio. If you don't know, Drake is also going against UMG for similar issues. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because there's a lot of contradictions of Drake settling with iHeartRadio over Payola in regards to Not Like Us compared to his lawsuit with UMG for defamation for Not Like Us. Drake's situation with iHeartRadio over allegations of Payola and his lawsuit with Universal Music Group for defamation presents an interesting set of contradictions, especially when it comes to the public perception of his actions and the legal battles he's involved in. Drake and iHeartRadio settled a legal dispute over allegations of payola, which is the practice of paying radio stations or DJs to play certain songs, which is illegal in this case. It was suggested that Kendrick Lamar's song, Not Like Us, had been played heavily on the iHeartRadio station in exchange for financial incentives. While the exact term of the settlement was never fully disclosed, the fact that iHeartRadio and Drake settled implies that there was some level of agreement or financial compensation to avoid a
Yeah, I'm thinking that, right? So did Drizzy get some money? I mean, if it's a settlement, what did he gain?
prolonged legal battle. However, the very fact that Drake settled in the context could imply that he or his team wanted to avoid the public fallout and reputational damage that could come from the full trial. Pay attention to the public fallout and reputational damage. In a completely different legal matter, Drake filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group for defamation. Drake accused UMG of spreading false rumors that had damaged his reputation and career. While the specifics of this lawsuit are not widely known, in general, it revolves around reputational harm caused by UMG's alleged actions, allegedly. But this is the contradiction between these two cases involving UMG and iHeartRadio with Drake. This is the settlement versus the lawsuit. On one hand, Drake settles with iHeartRadio over the payola issue, which is a major concern for artists and radio stations in the music industry. The settlement in this case could be seen as an effort to protect his reputation or avoid public backlash. But on the other hand, in the defamation lawsuit against UMG, Drake is actively fighting to protect his name for what he perceives as false rumors. Both actions are about defending his public image, but they seem to be in direct opposition when it comes to the way he handles these legal matters, settling quiet in one case with iHeartRadio and seeking aggressive legal action.
And I'm assuming, I think iHeartRadio is all the radio stations around the country or the world or whatever. iHeart owns a lot of the radio stations. So I'm wondering if there was actually compensation. They didn't say, but if they're settling, who won? Somebody wins in the settlement, right?
With UMG. If the payola allegations against Drake were true, it would imply that his career has at least partially been influenced by illegal payments for radio play. While it's possible that these allegations were exaggerated or misunderstood, a settlement may suggest some degree of responsibility or guilt without directly admitting it. If he's actively suing UMG for defamation, it creates the perception that Drake is either avoiding admitting any wrongdoing, such as paying for radio play, while still trying to defend his reputation in other areas. As far as public
so basically, the settlement had to be over Not Like Us. Now, some just don't seem right there. That seems a little fishy. Let this play out. I'm only watching this for the first time with y'all, so I could really react to this. But something seems fishy there, right? Because if I remember, the lawsuit was about Not Like Us. So Is he winning? What's going on?
Perception, fans and the public might see the contradiction as a double standard. Drake may be protecting his brand by settling quietly on one issue, while on the other hand, he's fighting to clear his name on another issue. The discrepancy could lead people to question the integrity of his actions and the transparency of the music industry, especially when it comes to the mechanics of how songs reach the public, whether it be payola or promotional tactics. In conclusion, the contradiction between Drake settling the payola case with iHeartRadio and suing UMG for a defamation lies in different ways he chooses to handle situations that could harm his public image. Settling with iHeartRadio suggests a tragic move to avoid further controversy, while suing for UMG defamation shows a more combative approach when he feels unjustly wronged. Together, these cases present a complex view of how an artist navigates their reputations in the music industry, especially when both public image and legal matters are at stake. Following all of this that has been happening, the FCC have actually been looking into iHeartRadio at the same time. FCC puts iHeartRadio under the artist performance payola microscope, basically meaning that the FCC is looking into iHeartRadio for any type of activity involving payola.
This dude got the feds coming in, yo. Wow. Drizzy ain't playing. Like, he put so much eyes on this that all of a sudden now the feds are looking in on it. And that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted right there. Oh, it's getting serious now. It's really getting serious now.
Now, you may be asking yourself, how does this affect Drake? Drake's connection to iHeartRadio, if iHeartRadio were being investigated by the FCC for payola, and if Drake's music had been tied to the radio station in a way that suggested payola, in example, financial incentives or other benefits for heavy airplay, Drake could become indirectly associated with those payola practices. Even though the settlement between Drake and iHeartRadio may have cleared up legal concerns regarding payola, an FCC investigation could reignite public speculation about legitimacy of Drake's radio play, especially for his massive hits that received heavy rotation on iHeartRadio stations. This renewed scrutiny could cast a shadow over how his music reached its massive success. As far as legal and reputational consequences, Drake's reputation as an artist could be questioned if it's believed that his success was partially due to legal payola practices. While the FCC investigation may not directly implicate him, the association could cause public backlash, especially if there are any claims of evidence that his label or his team was involved in such practices. If new evidence emerges of the investigation reveals that iHeartRadio engaged in illegal activities regarding artist promotion, there could be further legal implications for both iHeartRadio and any involved artist, including Drake, even though they may have already settled their previous case. This investigation by the FCC could bring more transparency to how an artist and radio station engage in promotional tactics. That payola is a widespread practice involving multiple artists, including Drake. This could reshape how the public views the relationship between the radio stations, artists, and the label. If the investigation uncovers systemic payola practices, it could trigger more scrutiny of all major artists, including those like Drake, who benefit from significant radio play, even if the allegations are not directly related to him. Drake's success, particularly on mainstream platforms like iHeartRadio, could be seen in a new light. So in conclusion, while Drake may not be directly accused of payola himself, an FCC investigation into iHeartRadio's practices could stir public concern over the ethics of a radio promotion, potentially casting a shadow over his career. His previous settlement with iHeartRadio could be revisited as a sign of complicity or merely a strategic legal decision to avoid further public controversy. Either way, the scrutiny on iHeartRadio would likely contribute to a broader examination of the industry's promotional practices, which could have both legal and reputational consequences for anyone involved, including Drake. So this may be the main reason, potentially, allegedly, why he decided to settle with iHeartRadio and why there's so many contradictions with him going against UMG at a different way than he's going against iHeartRadio. Settling with iHeartRadio, but still fighting UMG it makes you think, is he only settling because iHeartRadio is being looked at by the FCC and wants to avoid all those situations? But it doesn't matter, because the FCC could always bring up those situations involving Drake, use them as a reference. But either way, there is a lot of contradictions with the cases that Drake has against iHeartRadio and UMG. I'm just trying to make sense of it all. Like I said, bro, I didn't pass the bar exam, but you could tell.
That's the Ville. Y'all go over there, give him a like, give him a subscribe, make good videos that we can react to and talk about it. Now, hey, they didn't say what the settlement was. What did he gain from it? Somebody has to gain, somebody have to lose. Was it just a verbal thing? These treatments in the past, we don't know how far back they go, but they speculate that. Now, I remember, I think it was Whack 100 talked about it a while back, about the closer this lawsuit comes, you know, things are going to start popping up and going bad for Drake if he don't decide to settle. And now the FCC's involved. And once the FCC's involved into certain things, they start looking into things. And I think that's what Drake wants. But that could be real messy down the road for him. That could be real messy. I'm gonna leave it there. Y'all leave me your comments. Let me know what y'all think. I think it's getting real dark for Drizzy. It's coming up soon if he don't start rethinking this whole thing. You know, we've seen things happen to MJ, to Prince, to Whitney Houston. We've seen some of the biggest people fail against the machine. And hey, more prayer to you. But right here is gonna be your next video. PeePodCove. I'll see y'all on the next one.